to the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, my friend and colleague from the LVGEA 50. Welcome to Kumud Acharya, president of Desert Research Institute, and again, my fellow member of the LVGEA 50. Welcome, Kumud.
Thank you, Jaime. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting.
I know we've been talking about it for a while, but of course, you're a busy man. You have a busy schedule. Today, we hope to share with our listeners, our viewers, some of the things they might not know about DRI and the role, of course, that the organization, that you and your staff play in the workforce development of our region, which is why you're on the LVGA and other boards. But let's start with you, with your personal story. Like me, you're an immigrant, and so share with us where you were born, where you grew up, where you went to school, to college, perhaps even your first job, but more specifically, how you got here to our state.
Right. Happy to share that. So I was born in Nepal. Nepal is a small country in South Asia, sandwiched between two giant countries, India and China. Nepal is where you see all those mountains, Mount Everest, those are all in Nepal. So I was born in Kathmandu, the capital. I went to school there, early high school. And after high school, I left Nepal. I went to India for my undergraduate degree. I went to India. I did my undergraduate degree in civil engineering. And then after that, I came to the U.S. in early 90s to do my graduate studies. I came here. I did my master's in environmental engineering. And then I went on to do my Ph.D. in science, aquatic ecology. So that's why you see the connection between engineering and ecology. Yeah. That's why I like to call myself an ecological engineer.
Yeah,
that's how it happened, right? And I'll get to why that is and why I got from engineering into science a little bit later. And then, so that's how I came to the United States as an immigrant, as a graduate student. My first real job was, other than being a graduate assistant over my graduate studies, my first job was a postdoctoral research associate at Arizona State University. So I joined ASU as a postdoctoral scientist in early 2000, and I spent 3 years working on amazing projects there at ASU. And then after that, I took another research job at University of Louisville in Kentucky. So I spent 2 years there also working on water-related issues. And then finally, I got an opportunity to join DRI. I was hired as an assistant professor of ecological engineering field. And then I joined DRI's Las Vegas campus and moved to Nevada in early 2005.
Wow.
That's my journey.
That's an amazing journey because obviously stops at ASU and Louisville. And so what was it about Nevada? Was it just the DRI opportunity, or was it also climate about the West Coast that brought you back here?
Interesting question, because when I was at ASU and I obviously came to Las Vegas, that was the only time I've seen Lake Mead full, by the way. And I remember that 2001, 2002. And then after, when I was living in Las Vegas, and after living in Phoenix for 3 years, or Tempe for 3 years, I always wanted to come back to Southwest United States. I like the climate here. I like the weather. And so even when I was living in Louisville, I was always looking for jobs in Southwestern United States.
That's why then. And then, of course, I think that's why I enjoy conversing with you, because engineering minds are unique minds. And I'm a mechanical engineer. And I remember when I studied thermodynamics to understand internal combustion and things, viscosity to me was a formula that, it meant that, liquids were either going to slow down in a tube or not. And I always thought, leave it to the scientists to explain why. I just want to know that, a viscous liquid will be slower than the other. But you have merging the two fields, as you said, which is really interesting. I want to hear more about this term ecological engineering, because it was the first time that I heard it. So explain it to us a little bit better, but also tell us within that field. When I was preparing for this interview, I saw that there is over 24, maybe around 36 research projects listed to your name in this journey that you mentioned to us. A lot of it having to do with hydrology, a lot of it having to do with climate the impact of climate change on the water system. So tell us what specific areas of this ecology engineering interest you, and which is why you chose this field.
It's a great question. The reason why I say it's a great question is people are often confused when I tell them I'm an ecological engineer, right? And so they don't know what it is and what I mean by that. So why did I get into this field? Why did I get into ecology or science after doing master's and undergraduate degree in engineering, right? First of all, I was born and raised in Nepal. Nepal has a very difficult terrain. 66% or even 70% of Nepal is very mountainous. And it's a third world country, and people often have to, not every place in Nepal has a drinking water supply system, right? And so water is a challenge. In villages, people have to sometimes walk for like a kilometer to get a bucket of water. So I've seen that growing up. I didn't grow up in villages. I grew up in Kathmandu, but I knew that. And then as I travel around the world, I knew that water is a global problem. It's not just a problem here in the Western United States. It's a problem everywhere. It's a problem in China, India, Africa, Middle East. And so from very early on, I was interested in getting involved in water-related issues. And so since after I did my master's, I really wanted to get into a little bit more science, and then I could bring the two together. Why is that important? So a lot of researchers, even at DRI or other places, when you talk about research, you talk about doing fundamental research, trying to solve a complex problem that we don't understand, right? So whether it's about nature, do we understand nature? Because a lot of work that as the scientists have done, they help you understand the process and evolution, and they innovate things and all of that, right? The fundamental science is important. It's really important, but the result of that fundamental science in humans' lives sometimes may take years, decades, or longer. But I was more interested in applying my knowledge to solve problem right now. What is the problem that we have right now, and how can I use my expertise to solve it? So we call it an applied science, right? Ecological engineering is an applied science. There are a lot of challenges right now, and global challenges, whether it's water quality or it's water resources, hydrology. What are the solutions? How can we find solutions for that challenge right now? That's what drove me to bring engineering and science together and work in that field. DRI, we have over 600 people at DRI, scientists, students, hourly workers, technologists. At any time, they're working on 300 different topics of research. But a lot of our folks work on applied research, solution-oriented right now. Not in the future, not down the road. And that's what ecological engineering is all about. That's what drove me into this field.
And they're also working not just here in Nevada, but I remember when visiting your campus, you learned that they're really working on issues across the world. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Actually, our scientists work on all seven continents. Before I became president of DRI, I was a scientist. I was hired as a scientist, and I worked for a number of years. I used to travel around the world trying to solve problems. I had a big project in China that I used to go there pretty regularly for 10 years. I've worked in Indonesia, I've worked in Japan, I've worked in Thailand. So yes, our scientists are very flexible. They work around the world. They find problems, they solve those problems, and a lot of that, those solutions that they produce are also applicable to Nevada.
Yep. Tell us about, right now, again, tons of projects, but maybe talk to us about the top 1 or 2 or 3 research projects that your team is conducting at DRI, and what are you most proud of there and why?
Great. So let me start out by saying that, right now I am not directly involved in my own research. My job is to facilitate research at DRI. I've done that a lot in my past, and I've written a lot of papers and all that. So at any time, as I said, there are hundreds of projects going on. So what I'm most proud of. So let me share with you some of the examples that, for example, our scientists are working on developing technology for water conservation. Our scientists, DRI is globally known for its work on cloud seeding. What is cloud seeding? Cloud seeding is you're basically seeding clouds so that you can increase precipitation in wintertime. So basically you're stealing clouds and moisture from your neighboring areas and bringing rain, right? So we have cloud seeding generators at Mount Charleston. I think we have also one in Red Rock. So in winter months, we seed cloud. We basically put out a chemical, harmless chemical in the cloud, and that absorbs moistures and brings rain. DRI is globally known for its cloud seeding technology.
Wow.
We are developing, we work on a lot of wildfire-related issues. We're developing fire forecast model. What if we can predict once the fire starts based on its meteorological conditions and temperature where this fire is going to go? Maybe that'll help us then protect the communities that might get impacted, right? So we work very closely with utilities that are impacted by wildfires. We work on the impact of wildfires on watersheds, hydrology, right? If you get a big, a few years ago, there was a big carpenter fire here in Mount Salson. That impact is still being felt, And recently also there was a fire, and after the fire, there's a big mudslide, there's a big debris flow. So our scientists are able to predict all of that. We work on hydrology of post-wildfire watersheds, right? One of the other things that might interest you is our scientists are really working on the impact of extreme heat on outdoor workers in hot cities like Las Vegas or Phoenix, How do the workers disproportionately get impacted by who is impacted? Is it the older people, younger people, women? So we're looking at the impact of extreme heat on outdoor workers. We're looking at DRI has one of the 6 regional climate centers in the country. There are 6 regional climate centers funded by NOAA. And we host one of the Western Regional Climate Center at DRI. There are more than 30 scientists working on understanding climate change issues. DRI has incredible weather modelers. Just yesterday, I think San Francisco Chronicle interviewed one of our scientists on weather issues. So whenever there is a big storm, or we talk about atmospheric rivers and all of that, who gets called? DRI scientists are called. So we're all over the weather-related research, climate research, water research. You name it. Our scientists even go to Greenland and Antarctica. They bring ice cores,
right?
To understand the past climate history, so that maybe we can tell what the future is going to look like.
I love going to the campus because, again, you see those rooms dedicated to the study of those ice cores, the machines that store those. Cylindrical pieces of ice that tell the story, I guess, about the water system. And I think that, again, anybody who hasn't, you learn a lot when you go there to DRI. Now, as you know, I spent 20 years on the Strip before coming to the public sector. And one of the things that I spent time, I opened several properties, Treasure Island, the Mirage, Bellagio, and among others. And what those 3 had in common was they all had water features in the front, a volcano, a pirate ship battle, and of course, dancing waters. But what a lot of people didn't know, it became more and more, I think, known because we started to understand that telling the story was important. But those water features were not really the water wasters that a lot of people thought they were. At Treasure Island, for example, the hotel was built with 2 separate drainage systems, where you had the black pipes that brought the water that we weren't going to clean on site. It went to the reclamation plants, but we did have a gray water recollection system that went to a reverse osmosis plant on site. And so we retreated the water that had already been used once in the hotel to fill that bay. And so, for years, we depended on an economy that was hospitality, and we had learned to really, despite maybe the lack of public knowledge, we were good users of the water. A lot of the water, again, gets, if not treated by us, at the very least, recaptured and recycled and put back into our water system, which is not the same with other states that are drawing from the Colorado River. But then, of course, for a decade or maybe over a decade now, we as a region, as a state, are really using this word economic diversification. And it's not just a word anymore. There's been lots of policy put in place and funding, and we can see how our state has and our region has changed. Again, you and I sit on the LVGA, or the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance Board of 50. And what are your thoughts on not just the need for economic diversification for our region, away from just depending on the discretionary spending-based economy of service, hospitality, entertainment, but also, again, the impact that brings? Because when we do diversify and bring other industries, there's an impact to our resources here. What are your thoughts on economic diversification?
That's a really good point. I think that diversification is always a good thing, right? Even when you're investing, the one advice you get from financial advisor: diversify. So if one thing goes, if you're investing stock market, if one of your stocks tanks, right, you still have other stocks to lift you up or keep you at that level. The city's economic diversification is the same thing, right? If you have one industry that gets impacted by a particular, let's talk about COVID-19. We had massive closures, and restaurants closed, the hotels closed, and so Las Vegas immediately got hit really hard, right? That's because we really relied heavily on one industry. So that's why diversification is really important at times of crisis. At normal times, you don't need to worry about diversification, but when you are there are wars in the world that impacted the oil the price skyrockets. For various reasons, I think diversified economy is the most resilient economy. How do you make your city more resilient? So to me, especially a city like Las Vegas, which has predominantly enjoyed economic activities, revenue from one industry, it's an urgent issue for all of us to act upon to diversify our economy. And that's why I think, to me, it's really important. It's already late. We're behind the curve. I think we need to bring in companies, industries that are not dependent on only one source,
Yeah, and I think, again, you and I and the rest of the members of the LVGA hear a lot that we also have to be, I think, smart or purposeful and intentional about the economic diversification or the attraction exercise, because since we don't have a lot of water, and water is an important thing, we don't want to bring unusually large water users here. Or if land is going to become an issue to us because pretty soon we will not have any land available that's not federally owned, then also we don't need big land users here. So it is, I think, a balancing act of how do we attract the right kind of companies to our area. Let's switch to the personal a little bit now. And tell us, how does Kumud spend his time away from work? Is there any hobbies, activities that take up your off time, hopefully? Because hopefully you have some off time. You work long hours, you travel, you have 2 campuses you have to, I think, be up in, Reno and here. But when you do get off time, what do you enjoy doing?
I do have to travel quite a bit between Reno and Las Vegas. In fact, I came back from Reno yesterday. My hobby is to travel. You travel to new places and meet local people, try local food. So anytime I can take time off, I'm on a plane somewhere.
That's awesome.
That's what I do. I've been to over 50 countries in my life. Wow. And so I just like traveling, going to new places, meeting new people, eating new food, So anytime I can take off, I try to tell my colleagues that if I can take a week off every quarter, I'm going somewhere.
I love it. So I didn't, we're kindred souls in many ways. I always love the little time that I get to spend with you, but now I understand more since I learned that. I inherited that from my mom too. I love to see new cities, meet new people, taste new food. And when I was young, I was fortunate enough to go to school at the Peruvian Merchant Marine Academy. So for 7 years, I traveled on ships and at no cost to me, I guess. I got to see 27 countries as a young person.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I picked up that, and I still love it. So I have a question for you. And that list of 50 have you made Peru yet? I can't remember.
It's on my top 10 list.
Good.
I have to go to Machu Picchu.
Yes.
I have to try Peruvian food.
Yes.
I would love to do that. It is on my list, but I have not.
Okay.
Made it to Peru.
Well, then here's my commitment. Then before you go, we're going to get you trained here with some Peruvian food. We'll go, introduce you to Peruvian food here, so you know how to order it when you go there. But also to talk about, again, one of it sounds biased when it comes from a Peruvian, but there's magical places around the world, and I'm sure you've seen some of them, the pyramids and these things that humanity has built across time. Machu Picchu is one of them. The first time I went as a young person, and I did the trek, the 3-night, 4-day trek, and it's a life-changing experience to walk those trails that were walked hundreds of years ago. Now, when I go back, I'm going to take the train with the white linens and the entertainment and the bartenders, but it's still, again, when you go to that citadel, to that city, you just sit there and wonder, and it's hard to explain because, each stone is the size of a house, and you would need cranes, which we know back then didn't exist. And then how do they fit so perfectly? And it's just amazing. So yeah, I hope that becomes a reality for you soon. And my commitment is to help you prepare for that trip.
I wouldn't mind going there with you.
Oh, that would
Maybe
be fun.
Maybe you and I can make a trip to Peru.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I mean, traveling is fun, always. You always learn something new by meeting with new people, going to new places.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it too. I think that culture, the exchange of culture, knowledge, food is probably one of the most powerful things that we take for granted, but it's the best way to make not just new acquaintances or friendships, but to really learn, enrich your life. Be ready, because one of the most adventurous things that happen in Peru, as you know, coming from Nepal and poor countries, you have to find ways to maximize the diet with minimized resources. And so in Peru, cow or beef is expensive, pork a little less, chicken a little less. Seafood is cheaper because of the richness of the Pacific Ocean and how the Humboldt Current and El Nino meet right there on the equator, and it's a very diverse ecosystem. But the most sustainable protein source in Peru, cheapest to grow and fastest to grow, is the guinea pig, the cuy as they call it there. And so it's a big staple of the Peruvian food. So we're going to have to work up your tolerance towards guinea pig before you get there.
I've eaten a lot of food, a lot of different things, from like crocodile in South Africa to, all kinds of worms and, snails in China,
Yeah.
So I'm up for it.
Good. Very good. I'm excited. Yeah. One of the things that I remember, they tell me that in Africa, and I don't know if in Nepal they have a lot of it, but in Peru, it's also a very ecologically rich country. It has 20-something different micro climates. Of course, the coastal area kissed by the Pacific Ocean, but then the Andes, and then eventually the lower jungle as well that goes into Brazil, the Amazon. And in the Amazon, there's this tree, and when we go together to the Peruvian restaurant, we'll eat an ice cream out of a fruit of that tree called lucuma. But under those trees, there's these worms, if you will. That's the best visual, I guess, I can give you, because they're thick and short. And when you eat them, they look very much like a Cheeto, very crispy and shiny, like anything that comes out of hot oil, and salted, and it's delicious. But the problem is, of course, if you open the kitchen and you see them live, it's a little different. So food is interesting, isn't it?
It is absolutely interesting,
Yeah.
So one of the things I like to do at home when I'm not traveling, I can't travel, is I like to watch travel channels, and then the food and travel channel. That's the only thing other than sports that I watch at home.
Yeah.
Travel. We go to YouTube and try to find some exciting place somebody's visiting, And so I totally get it. I mean, I think you and I have very similar tastes.
Yeah. I miss that guy, Tony Bourdain.
Bourdain. I probably watched every episode that he's ever produced.
Me too. Yeah. He had a very unique perspective on food, culture, right? Adventure.
Yeah. Just loved his program. It was sad that we lost him.
Yeah, it really was. But he's left, I think, that style of travel. Now others have emulated. Andrew Zimmerman is another one that's funny. You know,
the guy he eats all kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I can eat everything that he eats. But
I know. I know. He is very adventurous, and he's tried. And I appreciate how, I always believe that I'll try anything once, but there's some stuff I won't try again. But he'll go back, like that durian. That
or the stinky fruit. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I know you're talking about.
He's tried it several times, and every time it produces the same reaction.
If you go to Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, you walk on the street, go to a vegetable market, you will immediately notice a very peculiar smell, and that is durian.
Yeah, pungent, strong. Oh, yeah. I've smelled it.
I've tried it.
Oh, you have, and
I'll try it. Right? Would I want to eat that every day? No.
But is it true that if you somehow turn off your senses up here, that it tastes different on the palate than it smells?
People say that, right? Oh. It's psychological,
okay.
Right? It's psychological. It's got a very unique texture. Some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna try it.
I'm pretty sure if you go to a local Asian market, you might find it here.
Oh, I've seen it in the market.
Yeah.
But they even tell you, because I said, well, can I buy a piece? Oh, no. I said, if we open
the whole thing.
Yeah, you got to take the whole thing. It looks pretty, you know.
I'm not sure you want to open that up inside your house.
Exactly. That's what they say. So I'm waiting for the right opportunity. Kumud, again, you and I came in as, young adults to make a life here in the States. What would you tell, those who are young today, who are our age when we came, and who perhaps, look at Kumud and say, wow, he's an immigrant, came from a poor country, worked his way up, studied, worked his way in several cities of the United States, which is what it takes to build a resume and a reputation. And now, of course, you lead one of our most important higher learning institutions. You sit on advising boards like the LVGA and others. What would you tell a person, who looks at you and says, how do I one day in my life reach that point?
Thank you for that, Jaime. When I was growing up, obviously I came from a very humble background. When I was growing up, my parents told me that, hey, if you want to go places, get educated and work hard, and that's exactly what I did. I knew that if I wanted to climb that social ladder, then I had to study hard, work hard. And so what I tell the young people is pursue your passion, find out what you're really good at, and work really, really hard to get there. One of the other things that I really enjoy in my life, or always enjoyed, is making an impact on other people's lives. Even when I was doing my science, traveling around, I always enjoyed when I did something that changed their life. I've had a lot of students that I've mentored over years, dozens of students. I've had a lot of international students who've come to my lab. And when I see them do really well right now, it gives me immense pleasure, right? So when you're doing the right thing, sometimes you may be making an unpopular decision, but deep in your mind, you're doing the right thing. And that's what I urge young, aspiring people to think is to do the right thing, continue to make an impact on other people's lives and see how you can make an impact. There's nothing better than making an impact on other people's lives and seeing them smile. And so I think that pursuing your passion, working really, really hard. So you and I, Jaime, we've worked hard to get to where we're at right now. There is no short-circuiting. There's no bypassing hard work, right? You got to work hard.
I love it. When you talk to to most immigrants, that's always what comes out. It's interesting that this country was founded on that. Give me your poor, give me those who want to come work hard. I mean, there's so many people that came to this country to build the railroads, the agricultural fields, and now research. But it's so interesting that whenever you talk to somebody, you always get to that. It's the will, the hard work, the study. I'm grateful this is still a country where that pays off. We have a lot to fix still, and we have problems, but
this is still the greatest country in the world. I wouldn't go anywhere else and live.
Right.
Honestly,
Yep.
I've traveled around, and you've traveled around. I mean, I've lived in Japan, but this is the country. I mean, if you really want to work hard and succeed, This is it.
I couldn't agree more. So, Kumud, where could one that wants to learn more about what's going on at Desert Research Institute, what is the website? We're going to put it here on the screen that one could go and learn more.
Sure, dri.edu. Very simple.
That's very
simple.
simple.
We're part of education institution. Just go to dri.edu and there's all kinds of information. Or if you go to that leadership page, reach out to us, send me email, send our people email. We'll direct you. We'll help you find that information. The easiest way is just dri.edu.
And on that website, is that how also one would find out about events, not just the research, but community events and
Absolutely.
things? Okay.
We have all of that, all of those, and then we send out community emails, informing. We have open houses. May the science be with you. We organize May the Science Be With You at DRI campus in Las Vegas. And anytime we have like 2,500 to 3,000 people show up, we open up our labs, we give tours, always look out for those opportunities and come visit us,
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because when I've gone, of course, the part I've enjoyed the most is the tour. So to know that just anybody can come to those open houses and see those amazing labs and the equipment, again, those cylindrical ice cores that come from Antarctica, it's really cool. So thank you for being here and sharing the information with us. Thanks for making time to share your personal story also today.
This was a lot of fun, and thank you for having me. And I always like sharing my stories, and hopefully I can inspire one or two other individuals.
I think you will. Yes, I think you have. You always inspire me. So our next date, I guess, is Peruvian lunch.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Kumud.
Thank you.
So that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you at another one. Until then, stay safe. Kumud, thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called Against the Wall. Are you ready?
I am absolutely ready.
Okay. The first segment is called Your Favorite. So I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to give me your favorite one in that category. What's your favorite food?
What is the category?
Any food.
Any food.
Yeah, any ethnic food or...
It's got to be Japanese food. I'm a big sushi fan, and I also, I've lived in Japan for a few years. And I just sushi, ramen, Japanese ramen, not the ramen you buy here in the store.
Right. Not the 99-cent ramen.
Not that, I'm a big Japanese food fan.
I can't wait for us to go to Peruvian lunch because there's a very heavy Japanese influence in Peruvian cuisine. They even call it Nikkei because, again, the immigrants...
I'm familiar with that word.
Okay.
And I remember when I was living in Japan, the Peruvian president or prime minister was a Japanese named Fujimori. I still remember that. Yeah.
We're going to have fun then in our next lunch. Tell me what your favorite movie is.
That's a great question. I love movies. I watch so many movies,
You can give me 2, 3.
Wow. I hadn't thought about that. I can give you my favorite TV show.
Sure.
My favorite TV show is The Sopranos.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
I love that. I watch a lot of very good movies. So let's see.
When I think about Sopranos, I think about that movie Casino.
Yeah, Casino. Casino's good. Sopranos is... Godfather is probably one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, first and second. Third, not so much.
I agree.
Yeah.
What about books? What's your favorite book?
My favorite book, I have to really think about it. Catcher in the Rye was the one that I used to read a lot growing up,
Yeah, classic literature.
Yeah.
Here's your more towards your travel hobby. What's your favorite city to visit?
I thought that of all the cities, the places that I've ever been to, I thought Cape Town, South Africa was one of the favorite best cities that I've ever been to.
South Africa, right?
Yeah, it's an amazing city. But I got to rank Paris right up there. I was in Paris in July.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize that the Paris architecture was. I mean, I knew a lot of people go there. I didn't realize that Paris is that beautiful. The city is amazing.
It is a beautiful
I'd say
city.
Paris and Cape Town.
And when you stand there in Arc de Triomphe or next to the Tower of Eiffel, and you think about the World War I and II and going through all that, it's amazing that city still thrives.
It is amazing. And I was literally like 100 meters from Arc de Triomphe, and I was at Champs-Élysées, I was in the middle, and I could walk to pretty much any landmark there,
Yeah.
And the food's amazing.
Yeah, that's true. What was your favorite subject in school?
Mathematics, I think. That's why I got into engineering.
Yeah. Was it the same in college? Mathematics?
I started to get a little bit more interested in science in college, but I think growing up, mathematics came really easy for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday is, I think I like end of the year holidays. Yeah.
Christmas.
And also New Year's Eve,
I like it too. What's your favorite sports team?
Red Sox.
Oh, wow.
I'm a big Red Sox fan.
Did you live in Boston?
I never lived in baseball. You wanna know why I like Red Sox?
Yes.
So I lived in Tokyo for a few years, and there's a team called Tokyo Giants baseball team. They are like very wealthy. They always win. They're like New York Yankees. I hated them, and I hated the Yankees, and I had to pick a team.
Yeah.
When you hate Yankees, who do you pick? Red Sox. I became a fan of Red Sox.
That's it. Very cool. What about here, in Las Vegas? As you know, we talked about earlier, we have become not just the entertainment capital of the world, but we're on our way to becoming the sports entertainment capital of the world. So what's your favorite Las Vegas sports team?
I think that Golden Knights got to be the one because, this was amazing. They were the first major team that came to Las Vegas. Now, look, they've won Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I think Golden Knights, my number one team, and probably number two is my Las Vegas Aces.
Yes, they're almost, they're inching closer to a second title.
They've won 2 games already in the finals.
This is very exciting. All right, well, you made it through the first segment. The second one becomes a little more difficult. We call it tough choices. So we're going to give you 2 choices. You have to pick one. Are you ready?
Yep.
Vacation or staycation?
Always vacation.
When you go to the vacation, would you like to drive to that spot or fly there?
Fly there so that I can get there quickly.
And once you get there, do you want to be in a hotel or an Airbnb?
Usually hotel because I travel a lot. I have a lot of points, so I get a lot of perks staying in a hotel. So I've stayed at Airbnb, but typically hotel.
Okay, so it's not so much camping, it's more glamping.
Exactly.
Me too.
Yeah, I can camp as long as there's a hotel nearby.
Right. Okay, research in hydrology or an invasive species?
Oh boy, I've done research in both very well. Hydrology, that's a much bigger problem.
Yep. A trip to Japan or to India?
Japan any day.
Civil engineering or environmental engineering?
Environmental engineering.
Write a grant or administer that grant?
Administer the grant at this time.
Cooking at home or eating out at a restaurant?
Cooking at home.
Owe money or owe a favor?
Say that again.
Owe money, owe somebody money, or owe them a favor?
Owe them a favor.
Here's a tough one. Justice or grace?
Justice.
Actions or words?
Actions.
Very cool. You made it through the second segment, and now the last one is called Finish the Sentence. I'm going to give you about 95% of the sentence. You're going to finish it for me. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
If Kumud could live anywhere, it would be?
Las Vegas.
The best part of living in Nevada is?
Outdoors.
Kumud's favorite thing about his job at DRI is?
Making an impact.
If Kumud could travel back in time, he would travel to?
I would travel to back in time. I'll travel to 80s.
Ooh, okay. You were in your 20s.
80s, I was in my teens.
Teens. Yeah. Wow, okay. Very interesting. 3 words that describe Kumud are?
Say that again.
3 words that describe you are?
impact maker, passionate about science, caring.
Very good. I couldn't agree more. And Kumud, doing the WC podcast today here with us was... I'll do it again. Doing the WC podcast here today with us was...
A lot of fun.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for staying over and doing this segment with us.